been a fan of the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon series for a very long time now. It was around the same time I got into the main series Pokemon games. I like its dungeon crawling gameplay and the overarching plot, but I also like the fact that you become a Pokemon based on your own personality, and that aspect alone kept me coming back to the series for years to come. And quite recently, at a Pokemon Direct, Pokemon announced Pokemon Mystery Dungeon DX, a remake of Pokemon Blue, Red and Blue Rescue Team for the Nintendo Switch. And alongside that, there was also a demo that was released on the Nintendo eShop. As a longtime fan, I was really excited about this, while also being a little bit cautious because it is the game that got me into the series in the first place. Truth be told, I was actually working on a video about Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explores the Sky before I heard this announcement, but ever since I knew I had to talk about it. So today I thought it would be interesting if you were to sit down with me and we would play through the demo and I'll give you my thoughts and feelings. This is not a full review of the game, it's just more of an impressions video. And without further ado, let's get playing. Right off the bat, I like the way that the game recreated the intro cutscene from the original game in its own style. It's very bright, and the colour scheme and faded lines reminded me a lot of Winnie the Pooh, just translated into 3D. I also have a soft spot for the original sprite work and art style, but the new style is still very fitting. After that, we're then greeted with the start menu, and I've noticed that they've tweaked the music a little bit, and also, you can admire the illustrations in the back. Now this is how you do a remake, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, enough goofing around, let's just start the game. And in typical Mr. Dungeon fashion, you're given an interview, and depending how you answer the questions, it'll determine what kind of Pokemon you'll become. And the first question asks, it's the weekend, and you have nobody to play with. So, most of my weekends. Oh, I made myself sad. How could you do this to me, Chunsoft? What do you do? Hang around vacantly. Question 2 asks, do you yawn often? No, I don't know what you're talking about. Question 3 asks, you're locked in a dark room. What do you do? Do you kick it, cry, or clean it? Honestly, none of these options actually help me. The first thing I do is look for the light switch, and not a switch light. So, from what I can tell, there are some new questions thrown in alongside the ones from the original game. And after answering all these questions, the game decides that I should be a Machop, a fighting type Pokemon, which I'm happy enough with. And the game does give you a choice to become another Pokemon if you don't specifically like that Pokemon, but this is kinda a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it does stop you from going for the interview again, answering the questions. If you really wanted to become another Pokemon, the original had this sort of problem, but at the same time, it kind of defeats the purpose of the interview. And I think it really deflates the role-playing element that this game is trying to peddle. But the game does give you the choice to just go with a Pokemon you're assigned with. It's very odd. On the one hand, I have something to complain about, but on the other hand, I have nothing to complain about. That's very weird, that's never happened to me before. And after that, I choose my starter, and the roster consists of the starter trio from Gen 1 to Gen 3, and some newcomers. To spice things up, I choose the Psyduck and Hero Goldie. And with that, we're then thrust into the world of Pokemon. We wake up in a forest, and the cutscene plays out exactly how it does in the original. We're a Pokemon who has memories of being a human, our partner thinks we're a little bit off, a Butterfree rushes in and asks us to rescue her child, exactly as I expected. That being said, I do like the new graphics and art style. Like the POV shot in the beginning, it's a very nice touch, and I can tell the game is really trying to translate the illustrations, like in the beginning, into 3D. For the most part, I think this looks really nice. I'll get back to you on this because I have a feeling that some areas in the game, in the future parts of the game, it may not fit this style. And, just like the name entails, you'll be spending most of your time in mystery dungeons, a set of randomized mazes filled with items and enemies, and you need to progress by finding these staircases. And near the beginning, it's really easy, but as the game progresses, you have to worry about your hunger, about traps, and managing your power point meter so you can actually do moves. Now, does this game do that gameplay well or worse? It may be too early to say, but I think there's a solid system in place. It feels very similar to the 3DS games, and that's a good thing because it feels very fluent and convenient. For example, in the original, if you wanted to select an attack, you have to go into a menu over and over. You could set a move to one of the phase buttons, but you can only do it for one move at a time. But in this game, you have full access to all your moves, and compared to the original, you have much more to play with, especially this early on in the game. We then save the Butterfree's kid, and then we form a rescue team. Ah, that's why it's called that. We then name it Team Cap, and we even got a rescue base to live in. In the original, the team base would actually change depending on what kind of Pokemon you become. I'm sure this game does it too, but I haven't checked, so From here, the story doesn't progress any further, so this gives me a chance to talk about the rescue missions. More importantly, we get to explore Pokemon Square, and it's just as charming as before, but it's actually much more useful. For one, Gekleon actually sells useful TMs, which you can use to teach yourself different moves. And the dojo, oh my, the dojo. It's so much better than it was in the original. You see, you find these coupons and you submit them, and you go into the dungeon for 50 seconds and you need to defeat as many Pokemon as you can find for double EXP. It's not like in the original where you can blast through free floors and gain practically nothing. And as for the rescue missions, they're practically the same. Go into a dungeon, do the thing, rescue the guy, profit. Although it doesn't add any points to your rank. Beforehand, you got rank points for doing missions, and if you have a higher rank, I believe you got better loot and recruitment chance. If it's not in the full game, I'll be very disappointed. I also like the quick transport between the base and the post office. It's small, but it saves you from sprinting into town every time you want a new job. After a few missions, the plot progresses a little further with Dugtrio, but the game doesn't let you go any further. This is a kind way of the game to say, the demo is over. And that's it. Overall, I like a lot of the changes they've made. It has a few flaws, sure, but coming from a nitpicking nostalgic like myself, that's to be expected. I'm really excited to see how recruitment goes and how certain plot beats will pan out. That being said, I don't agree with the £50 price tag. Considering it's a remake of a 15-year-old game that looks like it could fit on the 3DS, well, the 3DS is on its way out anyway, so I understand why it's on the Switch. And hey, when March rolls around, I'll come back to you with a full review of the game. And hey, if you want to join Team Cap, please subscribe and also follow my social medias. I'm Captain Cap, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye. Please join Team Cap. We have very little members.